Tonight I'm listening to one of the most iconic versions of Ave Maria from Schubert. Tommy Johansson sings it, a Swedish musician which I've never heard of before, but his music is absolutely epic, and the song dedicated to Mary. You know, there was I grew up Protestant, Calvinist, and throughout my life it's been a discovery of what Calvinism and Reformed theology means. And I've recently started to understand that as I understood that life is not objective. Truth is not objective. Truth is not objective in the most fundamental sense. The reality of quantum mechanics taught me this. The reality of even the molecular, on a very basic level. If I say I'm picking up the remote of this television now, I'm touching the remote of this television. Am I really touching the remote of this television? In a fundamental way, is this true? No, it's not true. I'm not actually touching the molecules of this remote. And so, on a quantum mechanical perspective, where realities change depending on whether we observe it or not, it begs the difference whether there is objective truth. Not even mathematics is completely objective, if you think about it. So spirituality becomes a deeply personal experience. The worry or the concern that if we don't see truth as objective, then it means that anybody can believe whatever they want to believe. No, it's not what they want to believe. It is how God deals with them in their particular environment at that particular point in time. And that's a beautiful thought. So this whole idea of Mary has been a journey for me for the last couple of months, where I discovered not just the beauty of the Catholic Church, but the beauty of Mary, Mother of Jesus. And an absolute revelation to me has been the central role of the Catholic Church in the preservation of knowledge during the Middle Ages. The monasteries became the centers of agricultural development. I mean, this is just unbelievable music. This chap is so talented. I want to post a link to his work. I mean, anybody who doesn't listen to this guy needs to. It's just magnificent. He elevates your thoughts to the highest heights. It's absolutely spectacular. But you need to listen to that again. I'm going to go for another round on this one. It's just beautiful. This guy is so talented. Wow. And such a human being. I can see that. So the thing about the agricultural excellence that was pursued within the monasteries, they became the forerunners really of what later became the agricultural research stations in America and in Europe. Von Liebig is seen as the father of agricultural chemistry. But before von Liebig, the custodian of that was the Roman Catholic Church in the monasteries. And so with their profound link with Rome, and through Rome with Greece and with Egypt, the traditions and the knowledge that came down from those, it became the monasteries became the repositories of this information, and they had this deeply embedded work culture where spirituality and work went hand in hand, but not just spirituality and work, but also knowledge. So, for example, when they talk about agriculture, they brought the traditions related to lime and about various ways that we can make the soil more fertile. They collected that knowledge, and they imparted that knowledge to the congregates, the ordinary people that were part of those, that were affected by those monasteries. And from a meat curing perspective, the use of nitrites in meat came directly, it was the preserving power of this knowledge came from them. Not just the nitrites itself, but how to produce niter beds, how to produce compost beds in general, is knowledge that they not only actively studied, but they passed on to the agricultural community and practiced themselves in their agricultural settings. In terms of meat preservation, they were absolutely at the forefront. They used ham molds, wooden ham molds, to produce what we today call blended hams. And why I mention that is that the production of blended hams is something that I've been involved with for the last 4 or 5 weeks. It's been the subject of my work here in Lagos more than anything else. I think we made the best ham this last couple of days, which is fascinating because I was inspired by these monks from the Middle Ages, particularly from Austria, and particularly from Styria. So these monks, for example, taught that protein extraction had to be done by beating the meat with sticks. And of course, that was not just to tenderize it; it was to extract the proteins. And that practice became the forerunner of the tumbler and the mixer, the ribbon mixer and the paddle mixers that we use today in meat processing. And the fundamental role that protein extraction plays in reforming hams, it was something that was understood by those monks many years ago in the Middle Ages. And they meticulously collected this information and they practiced it so that nothing could go to waste. The utilization of the full carcass was of extreme importance to them. So it is fair to say that each one of the major sausages that we know today in Germany and in Austria came to us as a result of the work of these monasteries. Mortadella hams, Bologna hams, was directly related to the work of these monks, taking mortar and pestle and explaining how fine emulsion should be ground. They elucidated on those principles, the use of salt in extracting proteins, salt-soluble proteins. It is something that came to us through those monks. So I grew up as a Calvinist where anything that had any association with the Catholic Church had to be shunned. But what I found out is that the Catholic Church had this rich history in terms of technology and science. And not just that, the Catholic Church saw truth as not as objective, but as relative to us, subjective, which is a far more powerful perspective, because it means that when I go to work, what does that mean to me as a person? I'm worshiping God. And look at this now, how closely connected this becomes when I make hams. So a friend of mine from Austria was telling me that the cattle that they raise in Austria are fed on alpine grass. They are given salt licks. They drink from the streams in the Alps, and they are handled with love. Anything that's handled and done with love will yield spectacular results. So inspired by those thoughts, inspired by the Benedictine monks who were active across Germany and Austria, in the Middle Ages. I set out then to handle the meat that I need to handle with love. So this is the reality. The pork in Nigeria, the quality is appalling. Why is it appalling? Because of the slaughtering technique of those animals. A pig is a very skittish animal, and if the killing is not managed very well, the animal endures a lot of stress. A lot of stress directly relates to a condition called PSE, pale, soft and exudative meat, and there's very little that you can do with that meat. That's the condition of the meat that we find in Nigeria from a pork perspective. From a beef perspective, it is just the opposite. You get dry, firm and dark meat, DFD meat, which is a result of prolonged stress. And what the only way for me to overcome the prevalence of PSE in pork was to handle the meat with the utmost of love and care. When I put that meat in the tumbler, I, on a moment by moment, minute by minute basis, had to be aware of what is being done to that meat. And I had to understand how the meat reacts to how it is being treated. And then I had an opportunity to adjust that when I saw that the meat was not responding in a positive way to the way it was being treated. In other words, I was treating the meat with love. Am I not? Then I went to the meat and I asked it, how can I assist you in cross-linking, for example, in a ham setting where I want a solid meat matrix to be formed by the meat. And the funny thing is, the meat spoke. The meat informed me, we need support in this area and that area, and I gave it this support. And so today, the meat that we produced, the MD of the company told me that it's the best hams that we've ever produced in the history of this company. Sure, it's not a very long history, but it's significant. The meat that we produced was absolutely delicious. It was very healthy, and I explained to him why it's healthy. Because of long drying processes that we used. In every respect, I wanted to respect the meat. Right, now, Ave Maria is not playing here because I see this is buffering. I'm going to go right back to the beginning again and give Mr. Johansson a chance to apply his trade again while I tell you about Ave Maria. So it was my friend in Austria telling me about the ancient fertility gods. One of the reasons for the great success of the Catholic Church has been the fact that it is able to assimilate a lot of these regional beliefs into its own beliefs. And for example, the fertility goddesses, that was very, very important for the ancients. Very quickly, Maria became the perpetuation, the continuation of these fertility goddesses. Right? And the veneration of Maria is closely connected with agriculture and with the earth and with fertility. It's beautiful because it speaks to the fact that spirituality is subjective. It is not objective, right? Like not even mathematics is objective, right? So I wrote a number of articles on this, and in understanding the role of the Catholic Church in the preservation of science and technology, it allowed me to get a new appreciation for the veneration of Mary. There's a lot more I can say about that, but I'm not going to. I'm going to move right on to William Oake. William Oake invented malt cure bacon in the early 1830s, I estimate, right? And William Oake, the basis of his work was to a large extent these monasteries in Europe, in Austria in particular, that had direct links with the monasteries in Ireland, where William Oake lived and worked. And they impacted the communities. So, and the communities became the people who, they were the custodians of this information now, which was picked up by William Oake, and which was merged into the malt cure baking system, which today we probably most, the English people will know it as the Wiltshire curing system. So to me, as a staunch Calvinist, the fact that my view of the Catholic Church was grossly misrepresented. Now, from the one perspective, the Calvinists believe that there is something like objective truth, which there clearly is not. And they misrepresented the Catholic Church in the sense of not allowing them to take the central role in the preservation of science and technology through the Middle Ages. Buffering is complete. You see, good things come to those who wait. So I wanted to share these thoughts tonight here in Lagos, as I'm about to embark on a very important journey where I want to delve into these type of realities that I'm discussing with you tonight. And as a Calvinist, as a former Calvinist, having gained tremendous appreciation for the role of the Catholic Church in bringing about the society that we have today, and having gained tremendous respect for the position of personal experiences in terms of spirituality, abandoning this notion that somehow there's some objective truth. Is anything objective? It is subjective. It is subjective in terms of us. Like listening to this beautiful music. This music doesn't mean anything objectively in time and space, but it means something to me tonight, right here. Thinking about the role of Mother Mary, the role of Mary, the mother of Jesus, and the beautiful imagery that's associated with her as interceding on our behalf. It's just magnificent. And the way that this chap does it, it takes you to new heights. I mean, listen to that. I salute that creativity. And that creativity that I see there, I want to do the same thing in terms of meat science. I want to do the same thing in terms of producing hams. I want to achieve the same notes in the bacon that we produce. I want to produce the same notes in terms of the hams that we produce. You know what is possible? And then the knowledge that those hams and bacons, the technology that makes the production of them available, goes back to those monasteries. You see the circle? You see the link? It's just beautiful. There's no point behind what I'm saying. It is just celebrating the beauty of all of this. It's magnificent. It is absolutely magnificent. If we view work like this, every day when I get up out of bed and I'm on my way to work, it is not to work, it is to worship. It is to stand in the legacy on the shoulders of these monks from the Middle Ages, from Styria, from Austria. It's magnificent.